We can hear you.
What's up, my boys?
What's going
Yo,
on, you
Swad.
above average individuals?
Ooh,
I
ooh,
like
that,
that.
that that's I like that.
What's going on?
Dan the man. So,
Oh,
first of all, thank you for joining with us despite just coming from urgent care. I mean, that's just savage. That's going down for the books. Yeah, our future
It
guests are gonna have
happens.
to find a way to top that. But
It happens. But yeah, thanks for
yeah,
having me, guys.
this guy's gonna be like mid-surgery, just answering the podcast, like, "Hey guys, I'm getting surgery right now." IV and everything. Um, but yeah, I figured I'd let Danny start. Just for anyone that's watching it doesn't know Danny, I'll let you speak for yourself first. We don't all know you, but we'll get into it later.
Sure. You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm Danny Light. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and NPC competitor. Been going for that pro card for about 10 years now. I feel like first I have to identify as a bodybuilder because that's really what got me into physical therapy in the first place. You know what I mean? So that's it in a nutshell.
I
you said
I
10
was
years
look
though? That's
yeah,
10 years. I've
2015?
I was
I've
looking
been
at his
competing since
page.
2014. So this is my
Whew.
11th year. My first show was Europa, Orlando.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Awesome.
Danny, I
I didn't
was
know
looking
that.
at your page earlier, and I think I did the math right. It looks like 10 plus years competing, but 9 years at the national level. Is that right?
Yeah, I qualified my first year competing.
So
Um
what year is this?
this year was 2022.
And I mean, I,
And
I have to
that
say,
was
your conditioning is just unmatched. The dryness.
yeah, that's been, everybody's got their strengths and their weaknesses, and I have a trouble putting on size, but I get really shredded. But I've always been lean, super lean.
Yeah, I mean, if we look
But
at, I mean, you as a kid, obviously your body wants to be slender.
skinny. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I mean, you just said something really interesting. You had to think of yourself as a bodybuilder, and I know this is a conversation that's come up around the industry about don't think of yourself as bikini, as men's physique, as this, it all comes down to hard training regardless, right? Maybe the protocols, supplements, the amount of food may change, and also the genetics that play a role in what division you're in. But for someone that's competed for so long, because I mean, being consistent, especially in this sport for that amount of time, is incredible. So, would love to dig into your mindset and how you've been able to ride the highs and lows, and also thinking that, people can go 10 years in a sport when they're winning and you've had success, but you also still are chasing your ultimate goal of getting that card.
Right. Yeah, so I mean it's been a journey, and I always say like if you're a competitive bodybuilder, like whether you win or lose, you're doing it because you love to do it. You know what I mean? I mean, we don't get paid. We spend more money doing this than we're ever gonna make doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and it's a sport where again you're subjectively judged, um, and you're gonna lose more often than you're gonna win. So you really just have to have a love for it. You know, being able to manipulate the variables like your diet and your training and um, the gear and the supplementation. It's really fascinating to have control over those variables and to get results so quickly and so obviously by manipulating those variables. So, I mean, as the scientist in me, like I just, love putting my body through different experiments and watching it grow, watching it shrink, you know what I mean? And I think most of us appreciate that process if we're in the sport, you know?
100%. I like how you have that mindset too of the bodybuilder. You could tell even by the picture in the back, you've been already manifesting it.
Bro, that's my girl made this after that competition. I took overall that was the Miami Muscle
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah.
There you
And
go.
then
But never took it
sh
down though.
No, I put it. I listen. That's my motivation. That was my
Yeah,
best
exactly.
package. That was my best package ever, until this nationals. And like that, so that was 2022, and I was trying to chase that look for the last like 2 or 3 years, and I finally was able to nail it and bring something a little bit better. So that's
Yeah, because
also,
Danny, we
That's it's
were in
be your
the
last package.
Caribbean, and I that's where I mean I know we've crossed paths before, but that's when we really start met and started talking and getting to know each other. And I mean, you brought a great package there. I know you were, I guess, there was some tweaks you wanted to make. And it's an interesting show, right? It's an international NPC show, so it's slightly different under the same federation. Um, I think the judge was from Canada, so you're not in front of a judge you're normally in front of. I'm sure being in the sport 10 years, you've seen a lot of the big ones repetitively. So, what were some of the tweaks you guys made between Caribbean and Texas?
yeah. So the critique was in the Caribbean that I was just too flat. I didn't pop. I couldn't hold a pump. Um, and my posing was a little bit off. I was a little off centered. So really, in the 5 weeks between the Caribbean Grand Prix and Nationals, we practiced posing, posing, posing. Obviously, I learned to square up a little bit more towards the judges. And what we did was we tapered off cardio a little bit. We brought calories up a tiny bit, and we really didn't drop again or push it until that last week and a half because I was already ready. I was already pretty much fat free at that point. So we were able to kind of give my body a break going into nationals, which I think made a big difference. Another huge thing I gotta say was that my coach allowed me to have 3 meals off plan throughout that time period. For special occasions, I had some family gatherings, and it was Thanksgiving during that time. So those mental breaks really, it's such a mind fuck, to have to diet and be so strict for so long and tell yourself, oh, I'm not allowed to eat that food because it's off my prep plan and I could lose if you don't want to ever like leave that doubt in your mind or have a reason why you didn't win. You always want to give it your all. So having those mental breaks was huge because it made it feel like I didn't have to suffer for such a long time. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like that's where a lot of like the bad relationships with food happen, Danny?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this sport is it could be dangerous. You know what I mean? It's definitely not for everybody. You have to have a strong mental state because it really does mess up your relationship with food. It messes up your relationship with how you see yourself. You know what I mean? Like because once you've seen yourself at that level, you know what I mean? The best that you've ever been, you're always nothing's ever good enough anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
I used to love chicken and eggs, and I'm sure I'll get back to loving it because I usually liked bland food, but man, like egg whites, they just before that second meal that G has me on, I'm just like, oh, I just gotta shove it down. I might have to turn
Yeah.
to muscle egg. They do the filtered
Favorite
flavored,
eggs?
yeah, and just
I
drink it.
I'll straight up I'll drink them when I don't feel like chewing them up, and they say that it's not as bioavailable. You know what I
You
mean?
know,
Like
you're
they're
not
not
digesting
bioabsorbable.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not digesting
But
Yeah,
but you know what? Like if
the egg
if it
whites.
comes down to it and I need to get some extra protein in, I'll drink that
it.
shit.
Which was it?
You know what I
Was
mean?
it
By any
Hunter
means
Le
necessary.
what was it? Hunter Librado was the open bodybuilder that would just blend his meals. Was that the one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll do when I'm bulking, I have to too, because my I've always been I have a sensitive stomach. I can eat whatever I want and I won't gain weight, but my stomach is sensitive, so that's the trade-off there, you know what I mean? And so to bulk up, I have to eat kind of dirty. Like I can't sit there and just like someone with a slower metabolism has to keep it clean, you know what I mean? I need to like eat my regular meals and then wash it down with like a Krispy Kreme donut or a blueberry muffin. You know what I mean? And people are like, "Oh, wow, poor you, poor you." But it's like I don't have the appetite to to put that food down, and then it messes with my stomach so bad that sometimes the next day I'm like, I just don't want to eat because my gut feels distended, or you know what I mean? I feel bloated and like I haven't digested my food from the day before. So,
How long would you say it took you to get to know your body that well that you know what digests well and you know what you have a harder time digesting?
well,
Because everybody's
that's
different.
that started as a kid for me because I always had stomach issues, you know. So, you know, I early on I found out I was lactose intolerant and had sensitivity to gluten and leaky gut syndrome and all that stuff. So, um, as a kid, I gravitated towards the foods that hurt me. You know what I mean? Like I wanted cheese pizza. I wanted that nasty,
Sounds familiar, doesn't
doughy
it?
dairy.
Gluten
You know
free.
what
It
I
has to
mean?
be gluten free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved milk. It was killing me, but I loved milk. I and even in I did a I did like a GOMAD diet once. You know what that is? Gallon of
Is
milk a
Nomad.
that
day.
just gallon of milk a day or something like that?
Yeah. Oh my God. And I was doing it with lactate, but my body still rejected that. I was breaking
Dang.
out like
Oh.
crazy. It was just gross. Yeah.
How did
But
you discover that
it's
though? Like the
uh,
food sensitivity issues.
during my adolescence, like probably around like 13, 14, I would wake up with just doubled over with intestinal cramping and stuff. And then I'd have irritable bowel syndrome where I'd be constipated or I'd be running to the toilet nonstop. You know what I mean?
You hadn't got any
So
tests done though specifically for food
yeah, no,
allergies?
they did back then they did an endoscopy and they tested for stuff like H. pylori and see if I had a Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But everything was negative. Everything was, thank God. But yeah,
Yeah.
still just very sensitive stomach.
So
Yeah,
you're with Unchained Physiques, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
love
Mike's one of the top coaches. I mean, you hear about Cuts and DJ Pure and all them. I think he's definitely respected in that class. Not everyone gets to work with a coach at that level. A guy that he has Olympians, right? Or he has had
Yeah,
Olympians.
he had four Olympians last year. Yeah.
So, first of all, how do you get connected with him? And then what has that relationship been like? Have you been with him the entire time or?
No, no. I've had a few coaches. My first coach ever back in 2014 was Paul Rivella, who's now like specializes in bikini. You know what I mean? So, but he was like a very he taught me basically if it fits your macros and how to apply that with like a scientific outlook, and not just, you know, eat shit to fit your
Right.
macros. But and then through the years, I've coached myself. I had a local coach down here for that 2022 season was Tony G with Solid Muscle. And then I don't know if you guys have heard of him. He's got a few he's got like a wellness pro gains with Tay.
Gains
That
Yeah.
with
was
Tate. She went pro, right?
Familiar.
she went pro,
Familiar.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard of her.
Yeah. And he actually he that guy got me the leanest I've ever been for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
uh and then the way I ended up with Mike was my girl was actually being coached by his female coach on their team for her first wellness. No, this was after her first for her second wellness show. And so she already had an ins with Team Unchained. And I guess Mike had seen, you know, pictures and stuff from that show and thought I would be, you know, a prospect and coachable. And he saw potential in me. And so we've been together now for over 2 years. Um, but yeah, it's been a learning process. We've had to learn my body. Um, and just it just took us almost 2 years to nail that peak. You know what I mean? We went through probably like 4 or 5 shows together before we nailed that. So
I guess that'll bring up like what's the importance of staying with a coach to properly, I guess peak correctly because you said it took you 2 years
yeah,
with this coach.
I think what the problem I think there's a problem where if an athlete doesn't win right away, they don't give enough time to really build that relationship with their coach. You got to understand this is another person that's like taking guesses about how your body's going to respond to things at first. They have to see, through a couple of experimentations what works best for your body. Um, so I feel like, and I've done that too in the past where I've just been like, oh, well, let me try another coach. But at the same time, there are definitely different coaching styles, and I do feel like there are some coaches that are willing to risk your health a little bit more than others, and I think Mike does a great job at making sure that health stays a top priority.
Yeah.
You know,
This teammate of yours, he has some crazy shape, by the way. And I
oh
think
my God, he went
he was
from
lighter than you, right? He only weighed like
yeah,
170 pounds.
he was a couple of classes and taller than me, but he weighed less than me. But I mean, he looks so much bigger than me with the board shorts on.
I mean,
I
his
carry a lot
waist,
of
you obviously, I mean, you have way better definition in your core and obliques, but his waist is smaller, which
and
obviously
his
helps.
chest is fuller,
Yeah,
his arms are thicker.
Yeah, he's
but
Yeah,
bubbly.
yeah,
yeah,
he's got a beautiful
two
physique.
very
Yeah,
different looks, and that's I mean one of the reasons why I really love men's physique is that I mean they'll say there's a look and there is a look, obviously, and you look at like an Aaron Banks he's got that silhouette of what men's physique's supposed to be, but we've seen guys like Corey Morris repetitively clean up, right? And that guy is not
sure.
the atypical men's physique, but you can't look away. I mean, he's just you can't not look at you can't not take him seriously in a first call out. And I don't know, I that's one of the things. I mean, obviously you do see different physiques in open. I mean, like a Andrew Jacked is very different than a Hottie, but I do think men's physique is there's a little more, I guess, range between the types of physiques you see.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I feel like the reason that is because like to be there's still a lot of variation in the physique with the open bodybuilders, but they are just so big that it's almost like it's a look in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the men's physique guys, you're still going after guys that are not like peaked to that level. So you see a little bit more variation in their genetics because they're not like genetic mutations. You know what I mean? They
Well,
haven't
it's kind of
mutated that
going that
much.
way. It's kind of going that way.
It is kind of going that way. I mean, through the years, everybody's just getting bigger and bigger. If you look at, I mean,
Bat,
when I started men's physique, we were small guys. If you look like Sadiq when he first started, Steve Cook, like that era,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
they won't even place at a regional show now. You know?
No, not at all.
Now you have people G size with legs for forearms. He says,
Yeah. I told him today that his forearms look like
Top
legs.
20 in the world.
So funny.
as long as we get top 20 in the
I
world,
mean,
I don't care about anything after that.
Top
I,
20 in the world sounds good to me.
I I mean, yeah, I'm trying to find, I guess, a good example of. I mean, I know he
There's
did some
a
classic.
he did.
Um,
But you can even see how it's changed. No, right there, you see on that fourth row on that right side, down four.
oh, right
Yeah,
here,
right
yeah.
there. That first look compared to the top row on the
I
in the
mean,
middle.
and
The
then
top row,
bam.
yeah, bro. Like look how much
Yeah.
it's evolved, you know?
I
No, he's
mean,
put on so much more muscle. Yeah. The muscularity in the division is definitely picking up.
but I mean,
Um,
then you look at a Ryan Terry. G and I were talking about this the other day. Like Ryan Terry, especially when he's in regular clothes, like he doesn't look massive, and you'd almost say to yourself, "Wow, if I had told you, oh, that's a very competitive CrossFitter or a pro athlete, you would believe me he's a pro athlete." But I don't think bodybuilding would be the first thing that sticks in your head. But man, I don't know if it's just, and he's self-coached, but a peaking thing. But when he gets on stage, every muscle is just gorging with blood. He's full, he's proportional. But his arms and his like they're not as big as even in Ali, and Ali's not even
But I
the
thought
biggest.
Ryan worked with Neil.
You saw that picture that Brandon posted with Ryan the other day?
I'm pretty sure Ryan works with Neil because Brandon, they both work out together.
I think Ryan
Yeah,
takes.
yeah.
I think Ryan consults people, but I do think he runs his own protocol. I would have to look back. I think I saw one of his logs was talking about it, but I mean he's been in the game forever. Um, and I think the thing I appreciate about Ryan is I was fortunate enough to meet him last year at the Arnold. He's such a great guy, very open to talking and just chit-chatting. And he is placed, I mean, he just kept going up and up and up. And then he kind of regressed a little bit, but I don't think he's been outside of a top 10 ever at an Olympia. And
He's a veteran too. You pull up his transformation from
OG.
beginning till now. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
so
That's a
the
I
OG.
really, I do appreciate his just his commitment and discipline,
Consistency.
Yeah.
consistency. I mean, so I'm turning 35 in April. I think he's roughly my age. Um, and I think he was thinking about maybe, hey, like this might be the end. And then his mindset was a bit like, one more shot. Why not? And it kind of reminds me of what you just said. Like maybe his body just kind of, he didn't have that pressure on himself. He was kind of like, I have nothing to lose. I've placed this well. I've been competitive. I've had a great career if I didn't win. And then his body just
Boom.
boom. Incredible.
Yeah.
he's a crazy athlete, that's for sure.
Imagine if he had hung it up. He's a two-time Olympiad champ
No,
now.
for sure.
But
He's
that
got
brings
he's
up the
got some good
question.
legs too.
Alex, you
You
said
know,
that Ryan coaches himself, possibly?
I
Because
believe
I know
I,
Sam Sulek, who just competed, just
he
coach. They
does.
say he coaches himself
He does. Yeah,
too.
Sam does too.
And
By the
then
way,
you
that
said you coach yourself for a little bit of time, right?
sure.
I mean,
What?
this is a hard sport to
How
coach
hard is
yourself.
that? Yeah. How hard is that?
It's the reason why people have coaches and why even Mr. Olympia has a coach for the most part. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe Ryan Terry's an exception, but most pro athletes have coaches for a reason because when you get to that point where you are shredded to the bone and your body's playing your mind is playing tricks on you because you're just so famished and depleted of energy, like it really helps to have somebody to keep you in check and hold you accountable for things. So like despite me having all the knowledge in the world and knowing my body, um, you know, I might be like, oh, I don't think I look good enough, so I'm gonna add another 20 minutes of cardio and then flatten my physique out and ruin it. You know what I mean? Because I'm getting in my head. Whereas, having a good coach who can look at you objectively and say, hey, like, I think you're in a good spot. You're overthinking it. We're right on the money. Or, hey, I think we need to lose another, 5 pounds. Like, let's kick it up a notch. I mean, it's
I mean,
that
look,
accountability is
when you get
huge.
to this level, especially when you get to the pro level, I mean, Tom Brady had a coach, right? Was Bill Belichick ever a better
Sure.
football player than him? No. But
Right.
like you said, when you're in athlete mode, like it's more about the cues and the outside perspective that you trust. It's not just they are better or I am better than them and I can't learn anything. It's also just having that visual aid, like you said, especially in a sport like this, because your mind doesn't really play tricks on you in other sports like this does. So you can actually distort your vision. I mean, I will say though, it does depend on the person. I think most likely people should go down on of having a coach and then go down that route. But at the same time, it takes a certain personality, right, to to work with a coach and want that perspective, especially when your emotions are heightened. You know, an ex of
Yep.
mine did coach herself. I mean, she's had a coach before, but she also for the most part coached herself, and it just worked for her because she had been competing for so many years and she knew what worked for her body and she trusted her gut and her eye. So I'm not gonna say it's impossible and that people can't find success doing it, but I would say
I had some
95%
success.
of the time, 90% of the
No, no,
time.
no, I had some success doing it. I just didn't look as good as I probably could have if I had a coach, you know what I mean? It's just what it is.
I'm just impressed by Sam Sulek. He's 23 years old, and he like, I mean, he did very well. So let's see how he
Yeah.
does in the Arnold then.
He looks crazy, that kid.
Man,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
Sam, first of all, I just love his personality. I think that his bland, just happy, in his zone, enjoying his simple bodybuilding lifestyle is just so refreshing. He's not trying to be something he's not. Um, I mean, I thought he looked incredible. I was a bit surprised that given how conditioned he was, that his legs and his quads didn't pop quite as much. And I heard a few people talk about this, and they think it might have been more of an activation problem because his pelvic tilt was slightly angled wrong, and maybe that's why, it didn't probably he could have even had probably a better shape on stage once he cleans up some of his posing, but man, people he might have 6 million followers, but this is his first time on stage. Look at the core.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's a great first package
Yeah. That's someone that knows how to coach themselves. That's impressive, I think.
for
Now,
sure.
I think someone said he got up to about 250, 260, maybe even 270, and he was on stage at like 217, I believe, or
How tall is he?
216. I
He's
believe he's
pretty
just
tall.
under 6 foot, I think. But he definitely lost some size, and it's gonna be interesting because I believe the weight cap for classic goes up when you do go pro because I mean he definitely sized down to bring that level of conditioning. But I mean it's incredible. His hairstyle and this his whole vibe was so different. And then when he has short hair, it's like a baby Arnold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks crazy.
What you think, man?
I think he looks good. Just went back what Alex was saying about his legs. I think that was just a posing issue, but that takes time, like experience being on stage and getting comfortable. You can't simulate the stage. You know what I mean? We talked about that the last episode. I'm pretty sure. So you have to be in there and you know see the crowd, feel the crowd, see the lights on you. And that all in that and trying to sync it with like the posing and the music and everything you're trying to do is like it takes work. So the more times repetitive you're up there, the better he'll be. I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't win his pro card though going into the nationals as long as he just fixes the posing. That's probably
Yeah.
the only thing that I would say that would hold him back over there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
insane. That's
I
insane.
think I
He
think
has a bodybuilder physique though.
for
I don't
sure.
It,
It,
it
it
I've
it's
just
heard
hard
people
to
seems
say
it's hard
that,
to hit those legs.
but his shape, he does have a small core though. So it's hard to say because he does look very classic here too. Because Arnold's legs weren't that cut either. So he kind of reminds me of more classic than anyone because, he's not quite, a C-bum level of
It's possible he could
detail.
he could have just needed to get leaner too in his legs.
Dude, I mean, look at his back. That is just
Look at his
insane.
back. That is
He does
hey,
need
G,
some more
you think
depth. He has the
Those
width.
glutes don't look like completely shredded though.
yeah, like what why doesn't his shorts have to be a little higher?
Look at this
I'm
though,
not,
right
I'm
here.
not
See
familiar
when he
with
stomped?
yeah.
Yes.
So the feathers are there. It's just he's not engaging them right. Look, he's
Engaging,
engaging
yeah.
them better right here. Look at that.
Yeah.
But I would say his upper body is definitely far more separated than his lower body.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, no, that's a great first show. Good for him. Any hate he's getting is just unwarranted and
oh yeah, bro. He's gonna
ridiculous.
make improvements as he goes along. I mean, first show and you look like that. I mean, you're a prodigy.
He's
You know
doing
what I
the
mean?
amateur Arnold, so obviously there's fewer cards there. It does draw an international crowd. It's gonna be interesting to see. You never know who shows up, right? But I would, if I had, it was a betting man, I would say he's probably gonna get his card in Ohio, considering he's probably gonna make some tweaks too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be cool to see the international competition though.
Any of you guys going out there?
No,
Not
not
this
this
year. I do
year.
want to go though. Have you been to the Arnold? Has anyone been to the Arnold
I've
here?
never been to the Arnold,
Besides Alex?
actually. I've been to the Olympia a couple of times now.
So, I mean, being a fan of sport for so long, I mean, I got into it because of Arnold, so it is special, being Arnold's show. But there is something about the Olympia that you just can't put your finger on. And The production that they've put into it lately is going through the roof. I know that there's some things that could probably be done better backstage or the way they manage athletes. I know maybe it's like a hotel issue or things, but all in all, I mean, I think they've put on some spectacular events. I thought the 60th anniversary looked incredible. I wish I would went this year though. Right, G, when I qualify for amateur.
We'll be there this year. We'll skip to Arnold. We'll be out of the Olympia.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Vegas.
Yeah.
We just gotta get
Is
Chris to jump on stage with me.
is it in Vegas this year now?
We might all jump on
I
stage.
might have to go against my coach. Yeah, it's in Vegas. They haven't released the dates. I'm pretty sure they have like a 2 or 3 year deal with Resorts World. I'm not positive, but I know I was talking to speaking with Tim Gardner when they were negotiating in that stage. But I think I've been to the one in Orlando as well. I just think there's entertainment capital of the world, Vegas. Can't beat it.
My favorite time going was when it was in Vegas.
That's the only time I'll go.
We
You think
lost
I'm gonna
Chris.
go to Florida? I'm right here. Oh, damn, we lost Chris.
No, he's
Yeah, we
coming
lost
back.
Chris.
He's coming
Oh,
back.
it's that dial-up connection.
There he's back. Zoom user.
I don't know why my thing does that.
What do you
So
guys think? What do you guys think about the men's physique weight caps?
that's a good topic, actually. Gee, I want you to start with this one.
The water buffalo.
Not for that reason, but while we're on it, the guy has some size.
So, um, the only thing that bothered me about the weight cap is just it's so close to the classic weight cap that it doesn't make sense to me at the pro level how they could be the same size, like
You mean
men's
like
physique and classic.
10 pounds, 10 pounds of muscle?
Yeah, yeah, because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, when I did classic at the amateur level, um, I think it was back in 2021. My cap was like 175, and I was already at the top of the cap. And I think when you go pro, it's another 10 pounds. So you'd be like at 185, and I looked up for my height in men's physique, it's about 185, 186 at the pro level. So it's literally the same exact as classic. I don't, that's the only thing I don't understand. Um, as far as like whether I like it or not, I don't think it really matters. I think it's just they're just trying to I think they're just trying to
Create a
fit a,
standard.
yeah, create a standard and fit, stick to a criteria.
I
And
thought
I
it
think
was I thought it was like men's for example, my height cap in the pro leagues men's physique is 192, but for the same height in classic would be 202 pounds is the weight cap. Is that right?
uh, 10,
Can we
10
pull
pounds
that up?
extra.
Can we pull it
Is
up, Alex?
Yeah,
The
Alex,
weight
it's
cap?
maybe you
I'm
can
pretty
pull it
sure
up.
it's 10 pounds up. 10 pounds
So
of muscle on. I mean, at least if I put 10 pounds of
Yeah,
solid
put men's
on,
physique
like
pro weight
shredded,
cap.
that's significant, you know.
Yeah.
let's see. All right, let's see what we got here.
I'm,
Find the right one here.
I'm pretty sure it's a 10-pound difference from men's physique to classic physique as far as the weight caps go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're definitely trying to streamline the men's physique look more because we had some guys that would when there was no weight cap, like just not looking like they fit into that division, you know what I mean?
Fight right there. It says up to 5'9", up to and including 5'9" is 194. That's a
Yeah, so
pro?
This is for men's physique.
yeah, so 5'9" and over would be up to 202.
So Chris, G, and I would be 187 is our cap at pro. And G, what were you
Yeah,
on
men's
stage? What
physique.
were you on stage at Universe?
Um, I think it was like 180.
180?
I believe it
I
was
think
like either 180 or sub 180.
yeah, 175 or 180.
Yeah.
The same. The UGP was like 175.
I think I mean, it had to do something right because the proportions, the size were getting out of hand. The only thing I don't like, and I don't know if there's like a good counter option for this, is that I feel like the weight cap has hurt the shorter guys more than the taller guys. I mean, the taller guys always needed to fill out more anyway. It takes them longer, but every time I hear about a pro talking about their weight, what they have to hit, I mean, the short anyone under 5'10" seems to be like already at their cap and they have to hold. Whereas you hear Banks or all these other tall guys talking to like, oh, we got like another 7, 14 pounds to add. And it's like, whoa, Toplin and Aaron, they have uh room to grow. And then you have Drew, who's just, or you have any of these guys that are closer to our height and you're already at your cap. I mean, look at G, right? Like he was what, low around 180. His cap's 187 when he hits pro. I mean, G's at times he can't even train properly. He just got to get a pump and get out. G looks at a weight. G looks at a weight and he gets a pump and he starts growing. Like
Wow.
The
man,
chest is already pumped.
I wish,
the
man.
man had surgery, and I think honestly the surgery probably helped the guy because he's putting on some mass, and I'm like, yeah, just use this as a deload, man.
For real
Yeah,
though.
bro.
How
Nah,
is
bro.
that
But
leg?
to be honest, it feels a lot better, bro. Just more stable. Like I was doing rack pulls today, and I
I
was
saw
explaining to
you.
Chris,
That by the way, when
like,
I saw that, I was like, this man is like Iron Mike right now. Like just hops
but
out
the
of the
thing is,
hospital.
when I did that with the old leg, the
The old
the
leg. That just sounds
yeah,
wild.
the rack when I was doing the rack pulls before with the old leg, it would always go like this. The leg would just be so it would feel like it would
Yeah,
almost snap any minute, you know. But today when I
I
was doing
remember
it, bro, it
that.
was
I remember
just
that too last
stable.
year.
Nice.
Last year, you were
So
very off balance doing rack pulls, and we had to stray away from him.
yeah, yeah.
This is actually
So
a good
yeah.
transition because Danny, with your PT background, and I know you've treated me before. I don't know if you've treated Chris or G yet, but injuries and the mental side of injuries in a mental sport. I know G spoke about his leg where he just felt like he didn't trust it. It wasn't even about the injury itself or the pain. It was also the fact that he mentally just didn't trust it. I'm the same way, with my back. I have multiple herniations, scoliosis, Schulman's disease, all these things that are impacting my back. My background, I mean, playing lacrosse, I was always training for power. I was deadlifting heavy, squatting heavy, which is probably not the best thing to do with a back like mine, but I did anyway. Um, the good thing is that I mean, we've all trained for a long time. Danny, I believe you have powerlifted before. So we all started with a strength-based background, and it almost has allowed us to like not have to do some of those things quite as hard. I know for me, I don't really need to squat heavy or deadlift heavy to get the look I need, especially in this division, or sport. So I guess what is your experience treating athletes? Have you seen any commonalities between the mindset of people and the battles that they've had to come across that maybe you've taken into consideration when you get hurt or vice versa?
Yeah, that's you see such variation like with the way that people respond to injuries. Because I'll have some of my patients are bodybuilders, some of them are fighters. You know what I mean? And the mentality between the two, the bodybuilder gets so depressed. The fighter's like, nothing but a thing. I get injured all the time. I'm gonna fucking get back on that horse tomorrow. You know what I mean? Or so, you know, injuries for bodybuilders, they could be, I mean, fighters too, they could be detrimental, but um, I feel like it's more of a mentality and how you see, and view things. Because you have to understand in life there are going to be temporary setbacks. And I just tore the tendon off of my finger today. So I have to stay in this thing for 6 weeks. I'm not going to be able to grip anything with that hand. It's going to really fuck with my training. But it's like, okay, it's 6 to 8 weeks in this, whatever. It's going to heal. That'll pass, and then I'll get right back to it as hard as I can. And in the meantime, like I always say, don't ever stop doing everything completely unless you're like really, really that sick or injured. You always modify what you're doing so that you can still reap the most benefit around whatever injury you have, you know?
You said something interesting about the difference between a bodybuilder and a boxer and a fighter. It's interesting because when I think back to how I even used to deal with injuries, and it used to be the same way, right? Like, oh, I hurt my knee. I'll probably feel better tomorrow. It was like a day-to-day thing almost. I was thinking, okay, I hope I wake up feeling better tomorrow. If not, I'm gonna get some treatment, whatever. Worst case, I miss a game. Now, the thoughts that go through my head, I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, what's the timeline? If it is that, how much am I gonna be out from the gym? My brain immediately goes to almost like a calendar. And I think part of it is that our sport is 24/7. We're training to look good, right? And performance is a little different. They have maybe not fighters, but if you're a soccer player or football player, it's like you might miss a game, but you know you're going to have another chance to get back at it the week after. Ours is very seasonal, and if you set back a month or two, that could ruin an entire season for you. Just that.
For sure. Yeah, no,
Especially
an
if you have like a
injury.
show plan or whatever, you know,
Oh
it,
yeah,
it
no, it'll
does
ruin
sit
your
setbacks.
terrible. Injuries in general just suck. You know what I mean? But again, you just have to figure it out and work around it. Like look at G.
Yeah.
Like he broke his freaking femur. You know what I mean? He couldn't train that leg as hard, but he did what he could, and he trained every other body part that he could to make sure that that was maxed out, even though he couldn't perform as well as he wanted to with that leg. You know? And now look at he's a beast, bigger than
Yeah.
ever before.
Probably made him a better coach, to be honest, because now when his athletes go through shit, he's been there. He can talk
It's
it.
humbling. It's humbling going through that is humbling. You know,
Yeah, bro.
so
Just you gotta be able to tell people, share insight through your own experiences, you know?
Trials
And
through
it's it.
testimony. Testimony
Yeah,
through
yeah.
trial.
Yeah, yeah. But it's interesting the fighter analogy with the bodybuilder because you think about the fighters, bro, but they don't have to maintain really like a certain body image, or they don't have this body image. Like they're just in this constant fight mode. Like it's
right,
like
right.
kill or be killed. You know what I mean?
Warrior,
So
straight
yeah, so
warrior.
so something like that happens to them, their mental instinct is already like keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting.
Yeah,
Compared to like if something traumatic happened to a bodybuilder, you know, then it's like the end of the world because then they see themselves as less of a person because they've all they know is bodybuilding, you know, and all they know is, you know, building
like
themselves up.
inevitably, it's going to have an effect on your physique. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like it's going to slow you. You're going to have to take some time off. You're not going to be able to train as hard. You know, if you're not training as hard, your
Yeah.
appetite's not going to be there. You know, it's going to be harder for you to eat.
Yep.
Same thing with what we spoke about the coach. You need to surround yourself with people that are gonna be they're gonna when you're thinking one way, they're gonna be able to broaden your view. Because when you get into that situation, you're obviously getting tunnel vision, right? You're just thinking about
Yep.
the problem at hand, that the amount of time it's gonna take to get back, all this. But then when you just need your eyesight to broaden it a bit and look at the big picture. So I mean, I think everyone in the sport struggles at times, but it does seem like the people that are most successful are able to connect with certain people around them and leverage their group for the better. I think some people try to do this solo. I don't know if it's like a pride thing, but there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable at all. And we're actually in a very vulnerable sport. I mean, we're on stage half naked,
For
right?
sure.
So
Yeah.
I do
I
think,
have to
Yeah.
send G a
yeah,
picture of my underwears every week. I'm the most vulnerable.
yeah,
Speak about
I'm wearing
vulnerable.
I'm wearing sweats in my check-ins. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, listen. I mean,
Oh man.
at the end of the day, what I see like is that having a solid support group is like one of the keys to
Totally.
longevity. You know, like if you
Yeah.
want to live a long, happy life, like to do it alone, probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like we're social creatures for the most part. You know what I mean? Even if you're not, you have like one or two people that you really like lean on. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah.
This
Yeah. You
community,
can't
I
you
mean,
can't do this alone.
yeah, I mean, CrossFit has a community. And people, we spoke this a bit about this last week, us three, but Human nature to find a clique, to belong to something. It just so happens that our thing is bodybuilding. I think what's one of the most interesting things, though, is that one, this really isn't a small sport. If you really look at the scale, the amount of people and the amount of countries that do this, I mean, we forget how popular this is in Qatar or Iran, where I'm from, or all these other countries that they just can't get over here because of visa issues. I forget who was talking about it, but on another podcast, they were saying, "Hey, like if visas weren't an issue, we would have some other Olympia champions probably." Um, but then you also think like, man, like coverage wise, this is not NFL, right? But this now going to the next step of it's such a small distance from being an amateur to the pros. I mean, how many pros do all of us know and have that ability to get their guidance or ask them questions or learn from them, which is incredible if you think about it. Like our friend Brandon Cantaloupes, who's going to be on the next episode. I mean, who else would be able to just get advice from I don't know, a Green Bay Packer, right? Like, hey man, like I've been working on my training, trying to get better at my agility work. Like, what do you do? Vice versa, I can actually text Brandon and be like, hey, how do you do vacuums? Like I think that's just an incredible thing that people don't talk about in the sport is that the access to knowledge.
Well, I mean, it's the personality too. I haven't formally met Brandon yet, but he seems like a humble guy too. And there's a lot of pros that aren't humble, and that that
I
that's
think it's not
another
just
topic.
about whether they're good or bad. It's more about just the access to them, both for the good and bad, right? It's just the
Yeah,
fact that if you DM any of these guys, most of them will probably end eventually respond, or nothing is out of range, which maybe eventually that will change. But we're competing in a very interesting time where the world is basically our oyster, right? Like if you
yeah,
want to make a name for yourself and bust your ass in a sport, I mean genetics and stuff, obviously there's a limit to where you'll go, but you can certainly maximize what you got. And there's really no excuse for it. And that's why I really have no sympathy for guys or girls that they get on stage and they look like not like they can't pose. I'm talking like they've maybe never even seen a show before. We have YouTube, right? Like, I mean, you could teach this stuff to yourself. And that's the stuff that
yeah,
bothers me. I mean, you just did the hard thing. You just shut it down, and that's not a men's physique pose. That's probably more, I don't know, figure. I don't, that's not men's physique.
yeah. But that's why proper guy. It goes back to the conversation about having a coach and the proper guidance. And there's some people that go up and compete as like oh, they lost fantasy football, now you got to go compete on stage, and then they make uh an ass out of themselves. But there's people that do take the sport serious, and being able to have access to those pros and that knowledge, it does help. I mean, it makes that dream a lot more accessible. Like,
Now,
hey, I want to be
Yeah,
not
that
all
that
advice
shit.
is good advice, so it's still on you to figure that out, I think.
for
And
sure.
sometimes too much information is just overwhelming.
You know, about this topic, somebody recently asked me a question like, if you don't compete, do you still consider that person a bodybuilder? And where you go into like how these people step on stage and like they haven't practiced at all whatsoever, the posing, but they've gone through the motions of the dieting, the training to get there. Like, do you consider somebody a bodybuilder if they don't compete in bodybuilding
Let's
per
use
se?
Sam Sulek as an example of that. Because I'm using an extreme, right? Because I'm still thinking myself how I'd want to respond to that. But then you think of a guy like Sam Sulek who lived and breathed the lifestyle, looked the part, just never had stepped on stage yet.
Sure,
Yet you have people that do step on stage, but it look like they've done everything they possibly can to never look at a freaking show or YouTube video or replay. So I look, you do see people that use it for attention, right? Clickbait. Oh, I'm entering a prep. They drop out. Oh, I want to feel like me again. I mean, I want to live life again. I mean, that is, it's one thing if you get hurt or injured or something, but like that is the essence of what this whole sport's about is the discipline, being able to, just stick to that grind
Yeah.
and sacrifice. So it's a hard question to answer because there are people that will live the lifestyle through and through and just never get on stage, and then there's the people that actually do get on stage or at least or post a lot on social media but never do.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
I
guess
say
for me,
there's yeah, go ahead.
I guess for me, I would answer that as, there's a difference between a bodybuilder and a competitor, and being competitive in bodybuilding, right? Because
Recreational versus competitive.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. Like I feel like someone like Sam Sulek is the perfect example because he was a bodybuilder until he started competing in his first show. Now you could say, hey, I'm a
He's a competitive body. Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
yeah,
he's also though an individual that's genetically gifted. Like,
yeah,
and that brings up another topic is that you have people that they want to compete, but just like any sport, there are just some people that are not cut out for it per se, based off of genetic, you know, limitations that they're unable to control. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never gonna be an NBA player. I don't have the height or the, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
the
Athletic
coordination
ability.
skill.
Yeah.
Just where like I've seen people that bring size and they bring condition and they've competed for 10 years and like just no matter what they do, like they'll never be chosen to get that pro card because their origin and insertions aren't as pretty as these other guys that are beating them. You know what I mean? So it's like it's
At what
frustrating
point do you call it
to
quits, though?
see. Say what?
At what point do you call it quits, though? Like that person that's been competing for 10 years and just is
That's what I'm
just
saying. Again,
chasing.
it's like it comes back to like just loving to do this shit. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like you're being judged by who knows, you know,
Yeah.
about, you know, maybe they think
Subjective sport.
in their eyes, you know, you look better than that guy. But you know, it's
Yeah.
what do you guys think about judging and the subjectivity? And do you think that there are any ways that we can make the judging criteria more objective so that people can be scored more fairly for their hard work rather than just their genetic shape?
I'm gonna throw something wild out there. I think
Yeah.
we could potentially take some notes from gymnastics because gymnastics will judge on two things: the difficulty and the execution. And our sport is an art, not so different. You have a presentation. I mean, how many guys look great, can't show it off, can show it off, but have nothing to show off? And I mean, I think we're getting to the point where it's like to make it more of a sport and not just, I guess, what people say an activity. I mean, I do classify it as a sport, but adding more skill in there, more variables for someone to control. I think it's an interesting topic. I don't know if it's like the best idea. It's just something I was thinking about. I'm like, imagine, it was like a rubric of 10 for difficulty. You have these classic guys that do different posing routines. Maybe a guy that's not quite genetically gifted, but can show off better will actually start to get rewarded for that.
Yeah, I hear you. I feel like they take height and weight measurements, right? And if I feel like if we want the sport to be taken more seriously, we have to throw more like objective things in there, like body fat percentage. Like there are easy ways to measure body fat percentage so that you can actually tell how conditioned somebody
Is
is.
there though? You'd have to
Or
do a DEXA to really get granular.
you could do calipers, you know what I mean, in different areas of the body, right?
If you're gonna have it as an Olympic or sorry, Olympia level statistic, you're gonna judge that.
I mean, are they gonna pay for the money to do DEXA scans? I don't think so. Like
No.
that's expensive, you know? But having somebody there with calipers, I mean, look, I'm just talking about adding that would still be more objective than it is right now. You know what I mean? Like there should be a round, an anthropometric round, in my opinion, where like somebody's getting, you know, they're taking circumference measures. They're measuring proportions, actually. You know what I mean? Um,
Okay, but
and
then
then they have a
so do they have a pre-existing proportion you have to fit, and it's like whoever's the closest to that?
well, I'm always seeing pictures of, you know, C-bum. He's got a 50 something inch chest and a 28-inch waist and 28-inch thighs. And, You know what I mean? Like there are proportions that, yeah, I feel like, if somebody came in with bodybuilder proportions in a men's physique show, like that's gonna
What if
be
there
way
were
off.
spin-offs? There are sports that have, like mini competitions off it. You have the dunk contest. Lacrosse has, fastest shot, most accurate shot, things like that. Why can't we have the regular way we judge bodybuilding now and then have things that guys can enter if they want so that, hey, like, who's got the biggest biceps? Like, why not? I mean, if it's this what you got genetically and it's like something else to strive for, I mean, maybe it's a ridiculous idea, but
Yeah.
along those lines.
There's something to make it a little more fair and
You
not
don't
just
have to
based off of
replace. Everyone's talking when they
some
have an
guy's
idea, they're always like, we
opinion.
have to replace what's being done. Why can't we just add other things to it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
still have the subjective round, but you add in some objective measurements that people can get points deducted or added, where it's not just, oh, my opinion, the judge's opinion of me is what's making me win or not. You know what I mean? There's actual like data that can be compared and measured to make it a little more fair with the judging.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, and it's most people don't like to speak about it because if you put your foot in your mouth, it can ruin you in the sport. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of subjectivity. It's a lot of who you know. It's a lot of um, how big is your following. It's a lot of like how much money are you going to make the sport? You know what I mean? There's a
But the
lot of
funny thing about that
politics.
though is the funny thing about that though is I could say I've been on both ends of that stick. You know what I mean? Even when I felt
Sure.
like I should have won, and like maybe it was this team knew these people and this is why they won, the competitor. I've been on the other side where it's just like when I did win, I was just like, okay, now I know people. You know what I mean? So you never know, like, but that doesn't discount the fact that you were the best that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, if you come and your package completely is like an anomaly on stage and it blows everybody else's away, like
Yeah,
they can't make it can't be that obvious. You know what I mean?
right.
They have to give it to the better looking dude,
Yeah.
but sometimes
I
if it's
guess it's harder.
close,
It's harder to do that in the pro league because everyone looks solid.
Yeah.
yeah, but I've seen some dudes at some pro shows that I've been like, I've seen some amateurs look more conditioned than that. You
I,
know what I mean?
I will say I mean, national shows now are the level. I mean, it's almost like looking at a pro show from 3, 4 years ago, right? Like, especially Texas. Texas was the best show I think I've ever seen. I was watching a live
Those
stream,
guys
I
were
wasn't there,
crazy,
but
crazy.
I mean, really, you look at the ends of the lineups and stuff, and you're like, they still look really freaking good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
What's the plan? What's the plan for Danny though, going forward?
I don't even know, man. Like I got big plans this year. I can't I can't spoil those. They
can't
got to come
divulge.
out as a surprise, you
Damn,
know.
not only
But
on the lifted pod, you can't.
no, but as far as competing
We'll
goes, as far as
we'll have him
competing
back.
goes,
We'll have him
We'll
back,
have him back
returning
prior.
guest.
Yeah, we'll have him back prior. You just
as
drop it in
far
the
as the
chat. Yo, I'm
competing
ready.
goes, I might do universe, maybe.
Okay,
Um, and if I don't do universe, then it's just probably going to be nationals again in December.
you're gonna stick in men's physique?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: do you want to do Amateur Olympia with us?
the boys.
I'm just trying to get
Amateur
everyone we know.
Olympia.
I'm trying to get everyone
But
we know to do it. I'm going to get
I'd have to
Abdullah to do
talk. I'd have to
classic.
talk to Mike about that. You know,
I mean,
I'm still
it,
trying to figure out how that show works. I heard it's like the first, like the
so
three
you
overalls in each class.
so you have the overalls, obviously the winner of each class, then go on to the overall battle, and then the top three out of the overalls get cards. So if there's six overalls, if there's six height classes, seven height classes, only three get the card.
That's crazy. That's pretty
yeah.
crazy.
That's the same thing as Arnold. And I think one of the other national shows might be like that. I don't know.
I did junior
Nationals.
U was it junior USA's in Charleston,
That's North Carolina.
Mhm.
Junior
South
Nats?
Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah. And no, it's junior
Sorry, no,
USA's. I think
Junior
junior
Nats
Nats
is
is in
in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it was you had to win your class, and it was top three overall.
Same thing.
Yeah.
How'd you do there?
How did I do there? I didn't get my pro card.
But did you win your class? Did you get to the overall or
I
no?
think no, I don't think I did. No, I think I repressed that memory.
Yeah.
That
No,
happens.
I don't think I
It
won my
never happened,
class.
bro.
I don't think
Cut
I
this
won my
part out.
class. No, I didn't. That show I was looking flat too. Like my problem is filling out on stage. I'm an ectomorph, you know. Like my body will hold a pump for like 5 minutes if I don't feed myself right, you know.
That's why I feel like those mental breaks that your coach was giving you did your body good.
Oh yeah, but
You
also
just
like
needed to eat
loading up into
whatever.
the show, that show was
Yeah.
different. You know what I mean? Like we started loading a little bit earlier, and we just kept monitoring me every single meal. Like if we needed to pull back, we'd pull back, but we were able to load pretty heavy. And then some of the we tweaked a little bit of the gear and stuff towards the end there, from the previous show too, that really helped me fill out and keep the pump going. Um, I don't know if we want to dive into the illegal substances that bodybuilders use sometimes, but
Of course, only on the lifted pod.
you know.
Well, hey,
Alex, Alex,
you can
what
always
do you
cut it
think,
out if
Alex?
anything.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
That's true.
look, it is interesting because I was watching a clip earlier today from another podcast, and the guy was like, I just spoke with a mountain climber, or a mountain climber had captioned on a post that was getting some hate about PEDs. And the mountain climber just said, "Hey, look, I put my body on the line every time I get on the rock." And I'm sure a NASCAR driver or an F1 driver or anything in an extreme sport or these types of sports, plenty of sports have their risks and maybe even more risks than we do. And honestly, at least bodybuilding has taken a turn for more openness to talk about it and to get the blood work done, to get the organs imaged, to actually give a shit about health. I mean, I've never had a problem with people on gear because I don't see it as cheating. And frankly, if someone says it's cheating, they don't know the sport because there's a lot more that goes into it than just gear. I mean, I've seen people that are on gear and just simply don't know how to train. And I think it's a shame that you have some of these 21-year-olds that are taking gear before they know some of these controllables because what happens is also you have to think about if let's say they peak at 23, let's say they get the body to a certain point, what are you going to do, just start upping the drugs? I mean, if you want to have another 10 years in the
Right,
sport?
right.
It's a shame.
Yeah,
So I just wish the one wish I had is that people waited so longer to take something and really control everything they possibly can before they even have that discussion. And
for
when they
sure.
do, they're going to need a whole lot less to get some improvements.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
put this.
the Arnold's coming up. I do want to, uh, as the athletes continue to post updates and what they're looking like, to think about who's going to grab this bag.
I really don't know.
Pull up the list, Alex.
Ebanks has been talking lot of smack about his comeback.
I wouldn't say it's smack.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
no, it's not
interested.
smack. I mean, but
So
he's
we
talking
got
about it, you
all right.
know.
We got
He's just real confident.
so we
Yeah,
got
confident.
That's how I'm gonna be talking real soon.
we also we also have okay. So a few people that you didn't mention. We have Sidi Pouye and Ryan Clark. Um,
Ryan Clark. Okay.
Ryan
And who
Clark
else?
is Sidi
He
Pouye.
looks good. Only issue
Now,
is his lap.
who?
Ryan Clark.
Well, he had that injury, but he seems to fill out a little bit and add some size. But man, Diogo, I'll be honest, like, I've met him before. Really nice guy. I've never personally been a fan of his physique, just simply because his core was so shallow, you never really saw the definition that you see on some of the other guys. But man,
That's crazy though, because he's the top three in the world.
I know, but
He's been the third place like 2 times already.
because he has probably maybe even better shape than Ebanks. I mean, his shape is just incredible. But
Yeah, that's
his,
crazy.
I don't know what he's done, but his core is coming through. I mean, this was just insanity. And I look, it is great lighting. I'm sure,
He looks
it's a
like
good
a classic
spot.
competitor there.
But his delts and the core now on his body, I mean, you take his shape and now you have a core that has more detail in it. Dangerous. Really
Yeah.
dangerous.
And he's
And
coming back to defend that title too. I mean,
but then you have Mr. Ebanks looking gnarly.
I mean, listen, like that's to me, that's more the embodiment of the men's physique
I agree.
look.
I agree. I don't think you could really, I mean, computer AI doctor a more, this is what men's physique supposed to be. And I personally, the way I look at it is when I look at Ebanks, I just see a great physique. My eye isn't like distracted or drawn to anything. Like when I look at Ali, my eyes are just fixated on his core. But then when I really start to look away from the core, I think he could use uh, more around his core, a little more chest, perhaps a little more front
Yeah.
delts. Um,
And just he's a little more compact in general, you know what I mean? Like Ebanks has this like long torso and you know,
and he has legs. People, I mean, talk about him not being one of the guys that has legs. He definitely has legs.
yeah, I mean that's a
I mean,
crazy
this is
physique.
just the 3D aspect of his chest.
He's a
And
tall, lanky. When these tall, lanky guys really fill out their frame, I mean, the aesthetics are insane,
yeah,
you know?
so I think, I think he's looking crazy. Well, all right, so I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I don't know what Ali is doing with his back pose.
I
I mean,
saw this the
I
other
think
day,
he's
yeah.
definitely added some size to his chest.
Sure.
I mean, incredible conditioning.
Yeah, very short, humorous.
So I think he has an impingement because when you look at his right side here, it's just not quite the
Uh,
same. And
Activating, yeah.
his hands are
yeah,
very high
the
well,
up.
he
lighting's a
needs to
little,
drop his hands
Yeah, he
for
needs to drop
sure.
his hands, but man, like he's
You
obviously
know
look
what the
incredible.
difference? You see Ali's front shot. You see how his lat goes into his oblique, like it's just one straight perfect.
Yeah, it's connected. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what gives him that like crazy tapered look because of the way that it inserts too. Because he doesn't have the biggest back.
no, I think from the back, Ebanks is gonna destroy him, to be honest.
Also, I mean, you have to also consider that we're seeing Ali flat. We haven't seen him filled up yet, and that's when we're really going to see what kind of improvements he's made. It does look like he's added some to his upper chest
A
and
lot, actually.
to his delts. I mean, if you look at Olympia, I mean, I thought he just didn't have that much. Anything above right here didn't really pop.
Yeah, his midsection though.
Incredible. I mean, it's ridiculous. But look, his hands were a little lower here in his back pose.
Yeah, no, it's still, I could still like, there's a little asymmetry there on the right.
So I'm thinking we're gonna see a better Ali. I do. I think
Those abs, man.
we're gonna see some improvements from him. It's almost like his left side is bigger than his right, or one or the other.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, this is the photo that really got me. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, but everybody's like that, bro.
Yeah,
Whether
I am definitely like that.
But yeah, I think Ali is. I mean, even he doesn't really miss. I think he's only maybe missed his peak once in his career. I mean, he has one Olympia. He did
that's the
push
only
that weight.
reason I have trouble like counting him out of this because it's like
Yeah,
Aaron Banks is the Olympia champ, but he's missed quite a few times recently. So it's like
yeah,
I
yeah.
I have more
yeah,
faith in Ali pulling it off, like just being gnarly conditioned, and then if Banks doesn't come in with the same conditioning with the needed fullness that he has to have for that stature, he's
Yeah,
gonna
it's all
okay.
about
he's
that
gonna
peak.
Here's a
Yeah.
thought, though. Here's a thought. This ain't the Olympia. Ebanks has technically not lost his title. He took a year off from the Arnold. The last time he stepped on Arnold's stage, he was the champion. Does that help him?
But he
It's
did
that
lose to
close.
Ali
It's Olympia.
at the Olympia.
But the Arnold is, we've seen historically, look at Lorelei Chapados, right? Never won the Olympia till just recently. She had won 3 Arnold Classics. For some reason, certain athletes were being rewarded at the Arnold and not at the Olympia.
I always wondered that too. That's good that you brought that up.
Well, it depends on the type of judge too. Like like
It really
certain
is.
head
But that's the thing.
head
I think
judges.
they have the same judges for the most part. It's a lot of the same faces. And I'm not sure why it is, but I've definitely seen a lot of the people that you're like, when are they going to win the Olympia kind of people that are winning the Arnold. I mean, look at also Issa, right? She just won the Arnold. Well, goes on wins her first Olympia. But food for thought. I
I
think
mean, if he does pull this off though, I would say that the men's physique criteria and standard will be set because Ali just looks the most
sorry
similar
if
to
Aaron wins or if Ali wins.
no, if Ali does. I think if he pulls this win off and you know Aaron doesn't win this, that the criteria and the standard is going to be set to like because Ali looks the most like Ryan.
It's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be interesting to see who pulls it off. I can't count on Diogo either. If he's made that drastic of improvements, obviously everyone can look good or what they want to look like in peak week and stuff like that, but show day is all that matters. But we have what we have to go off of, right? And Diogo just being the returning champ, Aaron being the former champ, Ali being, I mean, the it's gonna be a movie.
Get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn. Um, well, Danny, it's been a blast chopping it up with you. I
Oh yeah,
speak for
guys.
all 3 of us that we're gonna want you back sooner than later.
Listen, I could literally talk for days.
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 Yeah, we'll have you back on to talk about your competition plans for the season.
Oh yeah. We'll see. We'll see where that ends up. I'll talk to you guys in a couple of months. We'll see where I'm at.
Well,
Sounds
hope
good.
you recover fast, brother. I know that
Bro,
fingers.
6 to 8 weeks, man. 6 to 8 weeks starting today. Ain't nothing
That's
but a
nothing,
thing.
bro. Ain't
That's a
nothing, bro.
mentality. That's a mentality, bro.
It's just a
I
pinky
told Dan he's gonna be using the like the ankle straps for the cables.
Oh
for my
yeah.
laterals. No,
Oh
I just
yeah.
gotta, I'm gonna be lifting weights very, elegantly.
Demure. Demure.
I mean, you could probably palm that Smith machine. You can get your pressing in, right?
Yeah. No, it's gonna be the pulling stuff that's gonna be hard,
That's gonna be harder. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be anything that requires me to really like rip. But the pressing and stuff is gonna be easy because I could do that with, open hands, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, whatever. It is what it is. I put straps on.
Yeah, I was about to say it'll be easy.
Yeah,
Put the straps on,
straps.
roll it over, and just have the
Yeah.
pinky just.
It's gonna look wild.
Terrible.
All right. Well, let's Danny, I mean, keep us posted with your plans for the year and stuff, and
Yeah,
we'll
guys,
figure
yo, it
out
was fun. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
we
Thank you for
are
joining
I'll
us.
see y'all up in the gym.
Danny, we're gonna have to start making use of your equipment, your fancy smanchy mics
Oh, let's do it, bro. I'm
that we
about it.
actually tested out at your house, or your
Yeah, they're
apartment.
pretty
So
sick.
we know they work. Danny would literally run into the other room. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah,
got like a
bro.
podcast set up.
No, just like little lavalier mics, like the little
Okay.
Yeah, they're
they're
like
like magnetic. They
magnets.
click,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
sound
yeah.
the sound quality is really good, and you can go about like 400 feet away and still just get like sounds like you're right there.
Yeah.
That's
Those are awesome
wild.
for vlogs too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on the go.
So definitely, we should definitely maybe like let's just all meet up in the gym. I got two mics, but we can like fuck around and switch off so that we can make content.
For
That
Oh
sounds
sure.
yeah,
good, bro.
I'm down.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Until the next time.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right
One
on,
question. One
brother.
question before you leave. What's your legacy going to be that you left behind when you hang it up? You hang the board shorts up. What do you want to be remembered for?
In the sport or in general? I,
Something.
In general.
In
I got into
general,
this. I got into this as a really skinny, insecure kid with really bad health habits. And if I stayed on that path, it could have killed me, right? So bodybuilding, I say bodybuilding saved me. Um, and it's been my goal to kind of promote bodybuilding, fitness, and just taking care of yourself as an outlet for stress, like a positive outlet, a healthy outlet. And so I try to promote fitness in that way, to optimize your not just your physical, but your mental well-being, and keep you out of trouble, you know.
yeah.
That's what I'd like to leave behind, I guess.
That's beautiful, man.
Love
That
that.
was like a poem.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
We gotta
All right,
play some
boys.
somber music when he's saying that. Like, let's clip that and let's play like some somber music. You know.
The chill guy music.
Listen, before we all hang it up, we all got to throw up a double bicep.
All right,
Let's get it.
ready?
Let's get it. Yeah.
All right, boys. It's been real.
All right, guys.
On to the
Y'all
next
have a
one.
good night.
Take it
Yep.
easy.
Man.